The public get what they fucking deserve sometimes.
Yeah, always.
I love that. For once, it's not. But yeah, if you have that as the tagline for opening the show, the public get what they fucking deserve.
You could say that about the Moviescramble podcast as well, couldn't you?
That's true.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? When we're going, we don't need roads. Snakes. What happened with snakes?
I'm Spartacus!
I'm Batman.
Hello, and welcome to the Moviescramble podcast. It's been a wee while. We have all aged badly, but we're all here. Tonight it's a full house. With me are both Thomas and Mary, and I'll let them both introduce themselves and tell me how wonderful they've actually been over the last wee while. Mary, how are you doing?
I'm very good. I have aged horribly. That's what Glasgow winter does to you.
As my wife has pointed out to me, it's been raining here since June, and she's thoroughly sick of it. So, yeah, I can fully sympathise with you. As I previously mentioned, also on the pod is award-winning author, raconteur, and currently half-cut. Half-cut man of the week. Thomas, how are you doing?
Good. It's just like Hemingway would have wanted, basically. But no, I'm quite good. And you're right. And your lovely wife is also right. It's just done nothing but rain forever, it feels like. And sometimes you go, do you remember that day was dry? And you're supposed to look at that day with fond memories and not complain about it.
It was 2014, and that was the last one you can remember.
I mean, it's just rubbish, the weather. But the lights are getting lighter. Sorry, the nights are getting lighter, so something to look forward to.
Yep,
it's not pitch black
absolutely.
at 3 o'clock anymore.
Yeah, it's nice looking out from a wee window in my room and actually seeing daylight past sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So yes, it's all good. Today we are going to have a bit of a general discussion. We are in the middle of awards season at the moment. While we are actually recording, the BAFTAs are ongoing, so we will actually be able to talk sort of live about some of the runners and riders, the winners and losers, if you like. In a couple of weeks' time, I think it's the 10th of March, is the Oscars as well, which for reasons, well, it was due to the various strikes, they're actually held back for a couple of weeks just to give more time for stuff to come out and actually people to actually attend the Oscars as well. And obviously that's all been sorted now. So yeah, it's all full steam ahead for that. And we'll also have a quick recap of the Golden Globes, which happened at the start of January. They are usually the forerunner and a kind of an indicator of what's actually going to come later in terms of the big awards. And rightly or wrongly, they are regarded as being a bit of a shit show in terms of the awards, that a lot of people do not take them seriously at all. And actually some outlets openly scorn them. I'm thinking in terms of Empire Magazine and Empire Podcast, they just have no truck with them at all. They just go, nah, it's a lot of nonsense. And I can totally understand why, but we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. So, gentlemen and lady, what do you think of the whole sort of pony show that is the awards season? Do you think it does actually reward films that are the best of the year, or is it just one major backslapping exercise for the industry? Mary?
Oh, I'm really torn because, do you know what? I'll sit and watch the BAFTAs, I'll sit and watch the Oscars, but at the same time, I think the more, I feel like in recent years in particular, the more you've seen sort of how nobody can joke at themselves. This is all very serious and highbrow and high art. And when they've had various comedians on over the years who've cracked jokes, they've obviously not gone down very well. Golden Globes this year, by all accounts, was, as you've said, a shit show in terms of presentation and jokes and all the rest of it. And nothing just seems to land. And whilst I do love, scrolling mindlessly through who wore what and who won, which award. And you do have your own wee favourites and your own sort of bits that you've seen that you obviously want to do well. But I think the whole thing of it, a lot of the awards really need to take the brooms from out their arses, because it's almost become a parody of itself and just how serious it's all become, as opposed to what should be a celebration of craft. It doesn't necessarily feel like that anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. There's a lot to be said for promoting films and promoting the art of filmmaking, but a lot of the time it just seems to be it's for the show. If you think about it in terms of what the stuff that you read about the Oscars and the Golden Globes especially is about how many people actually viewed it, rather than there's more talk about the lack of numbers of people viewing it than who actually won, like best costume or whatever, and it's just a lot.
Which is weird, because cinema obviously, well, the way the narrative sort of is being pitched is that cinema is very much losing the battle against streaming services or cable TV channels or whatever. And so this fascination on viewer numbers, as opposed to, as I say, celebrating the craft, and quite often you find that these smaller, in inverted commas, awards for technical effects or costume are sort of relegated to the end of the broadcast. So again, it's this kind of weird, jarring situation where they're like, oh, we got X amount of million viewers, does that mean that cinema's dead? And it's, well, no, not necessarily. But if you're trying to actually encourage people to go to the cinema and to revel in these films, then perhaps there should be more effort put into the award system itself. And that's not even touching on representation or anything like that. That's simply just the way they're broadcast.
Yeah, well, obviously the Golden Globes is a prime example of problems with representation, because was it 2 years? They didn't get televised at all. I think it didn't happen. So, and there was an awful lot to do with the fact that it's the Hollywood Foreign Press Association who are just, a lot of them aren't actual writers in the first place. It's a crazy, crazy situation. Thomas, what are your thoughts?
I mean, we kind of touched on this earlier, and a large part when it comes to taste comes down to opinion. You either enjoy something or you don't. That's very, very subjective. But as you also mentioned as well, John, there's a art of filmmaking, and there's a craft, and there's a technical excellence. I could watch the most horrifically made film ever and still enjoy it for what it is. It could be like poorly directed, that kind of thing, like really cheap. There's something a charm. Like you always kind of B movies and stuff like that. There's a charm to them sometimes. And you can watch something like Oppenheimer, which is an absolute masterpiece of craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get that. I'm having a quick look at the Golden Globe Awards. Now, the Golden Globes are quite interesting in the way that they actually set out the awards. They've got two separate streams of categories. There's the drama category and there's the music or comedy. Now, a lot has been said about what constitutes a musical or comedy, and they just kind of throw all sorts of stuff in there that just doesn't. The Golden Globes always seems to be about the headlines, about who actually wins. But if you dig into it a wee bit more, this year, for instance, they introduced a category called Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, in order so that they could give like the most popular film an award as well, or the biggest film of the year an award, rather than, like, obviously the Oscars increased their best film to 10 so they could include some of these big hitters, acknowledge them without actually giving them an award, basically so they can say Oscar nominated on it, and supposedly gets more people in to view it. But also with the Golden Globes, when you dig down into it, they obviously have best male, best female, and drama, musical. But when it gets down to the supporting, it's just best supporting in any movie. So by that point, even the Golden Globes aren't interested in the fact that they've split into two. It's just a bit weird. So
the categories are quite interesting in not a good way when you look at that like that. And I don't know, it's like sometimes it feels I think the award ceremonies, they're picking the films that again they like. It's not to do with the craft.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did we go before Martin Scorsese won an Oscar? How many films do you bring out you think good best year, best director, blah 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 blah? when he gave it for Departed, it almost felt like I suppose it's time just to give him it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get that feeling from award ceremonies. It's like, yeah, it's his time. It's like, what was the
Well,
film
that was the whole
worthy?
DiCaprio narrative, was it not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He had so many better films and performances that were ignored.
It is a bizarre setup, but actually, I'm going to see that thing you said about best box office achievement. I actually don't hate that, because I feel like that is a chance for films that maybe wouldn't be, again, deemed worthy in inverted commas in other categories to get some sort of recognition on some level. So I'm not entirely opposed to it, but at the same time, it also feels like you may have the crumbs.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yeah.
quite feel like a proper award.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it, Barbie won that, but the nominees were Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, and the Super Mario Brothers movie. So, I mean, you're talking about the billion dollar club right there, because they all made an awful lot of money. And you've got to say, do any of them actually, apart from obviously Oppenheimer is there at the top of a lot of lists anyway, but apart from that, you know, do they actually need the bump that they're going to get from winning an award? Because they've already made over $1 billion
I
each.
know, and that's the thing. Actually, who's going to go and see like Mission Impossible just because it won a Golden Globe? Like, you either go and see these films, or you don't.
Yeah,
actually, that's
exactly.
a totally fair point.
Yeah, you've got to be like the Golden Globe winner for like best box office achievement. Yeah, cool. I know. I want to see it. I was part of that. I've gave you money. It's out of cinema now. It's money, and it's that kind of thing. I just don't as a snobbery. And don't get me wrong, if I see somebody I like, a performance I like, a film I like, and it wins, I'm happy. When I see films omitted, it's more jarring for me, because I think to myself, these are great performances, these are great films, these are technically crafted. These tick all the boxes that you want from a film, because it doesn't maybe have the right message Hollywood would like to hear. No audiences.
I don't even know if it goes into messaging, because the most obvious sort of snub, or whatever you want to call it, I know we talked about this before, is the whole Elizabeth Moss Invisible Man thing. I just think that was the wrong genre. Maybe if that had been called a psychological thriller as opposed to a horror.
No, that's the problem. It's like they just saw a genre film, and that was it. Done. And it's a shame, because I'm going to flip this actually. You think of the Razzies. The Razzies do the exact same thing in reverse. The Razzies are both like Suicide Squad for worst film of the year. And I said, well, Suicide Squad made a fortune at the box office. Where's your logic in that one? Because you just don't like it, or it's not technically crafted. It's a tough one, that was ceremony type thing, because there is a snobbishness to it, and it's almost like, well, people are wrong. Audiences are wrong to like these films. It's like Adam Sandler, for example. I'm not a big fan of a lot of Adam Sandler films, but the man is box office. His films make a lot of money. He's never going to win Oscars for them, fair enough. I'm not saying he should win Oscars for them. But it's almost like you've got these people sitting there and going, yeah, but we're right. It just so happened this year films like Oppenheimer and Barbie made a fortune. A lot of times these films don't necessarily make that much money. Plus there's also that kind of con of, did the film come out at the right time of the year?
Well, also just think about the whole Barbenheimer discourse, if you want to call it that. I've never seen a campaign like that, where two films, essentially, their marketing was sort of working together to create this cinematic event where you were either going to the cinema in pink or wearing a black jacket and a hat. Like, it was excellent, right? And it was fun to people talking about cinema and planning their whole, I'm going to see Barbie this night, and I'm going with my girlfriends to go see that, or whatever. But at the same time, there still was this huge drive behind it. And that definitely, I think, got some people who maybe would have only watched one film to go and watch the other, because there'd been so much chat around it. So they kind of benefited off of each other. And I'm not saying that these films would not have done well had they come out separately or at a different point of the year, because I'm quite sure they both would have had the successes they've had regardless. But it is interesting when you think about that, because that's just, in living memory, I can't remember a marketing campaign for two so diametrically opposed films like that ever.
Yeah, I mean, it was genius in that kind of sense, in terms of just how organic it was and how it was capitalised on, how it was kind of driven for social media, and it was effective and it was great, because you've got these two films that are so different in so many ways, but probably at the same time, if you dive into it, very similar in other ways, in terms of their backgrounds, their production especially. But yeah, it was like that's a kind of anomaly though as well, isn't it? Because you had these two films in tandem, and you watch both films, you think, yeah, these films are Oscar bait in many ways. And the fact you have a term called Oscar bait tells you what you need to know about the Academy and what kind of stuff awards they're looking for.
Oh, absolutely. But then, interestingly, sometimes it doesn't work. So I think, was it Mission Impossible pushed its date back by a week so it wouldn't clash with Indiana Jones?
Yes.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure Mission Impossible has trounced Indiana Jones at the box office. So there is a weird thing there where, not that I'm saying you would have had like an Indiana Impossible campaign or something like that going on, but maybe if people were going to see one, they might have gone to see the other. Maybe they could have sort of benefited from that, but you know.
That's a fair point. I think that's something that's kind of missing from cinema a lot these days. It's people doing double headers at the cinema. Go to see two films back to back, and no, I can explain what double header is, but it's like you have. But just if you're saying let's don't release a film in this date, let's move it back in case it clashes. People go and see this over that, and that's fine because sometimes people make a choice. But then you get something like Barbenheimer, and you think people aren't just making a choice; they're going to see both. Maybe sometimes give the audiences more credit. Sometimes they'll see one over the other. But when it's two massive films, I think they're going to see both. Like, if you release, let's say, Cobweb in the same week as Mission Impossible, yeah, maybe they're going to see Mission Impossible over Cobweb, and Cobweb is forgotten about. But if you release Mission Impossible and Indiana Jones in the same week, chances are people are going to see both.
Yeah.
I think so, but I think that was a studio decision from the peeps at Mission Impossible.
And I suppose in many ways it didn't do them any harm, but I mean, if they were released that the same week as Indiana Jones, you'd have noticed it in the second week more than anything, I think, because that was a film. I mean, again, my personal opinion, but a lot of people felt very similar. It was fine when you watched it, it was okay. And then the more you thought about it, the more you realise I'm struggling to remember things I enjoyed in that film.
Yeah. You've got to remember that the film industry is risk averse.
Yes.
They don't take chances if they don't have to. So by keeping films apart, they're banking on the fact that people will go and see both of them in opening weekend when all the publicity's aimed towards a movie. So if you have two on the same day, somebody's going to lose out. Now, I mean, in terms of the Barbenheimer thing, I would argue that Oppenheimer probably did maybe double the business that it would normally do if it was released maybe a week before or a week after the Barbie film, because it was just caught up in that phenomena. Because Chris Nolan films, apart from the Batman ones, tend not to make like hundreds. Well, they do obviously they do very nicely for themselves. What do you say? They wash their face, but they tend not to do like massive big business because they are regarded as sort of art house films, if you like. But obviously,
which is
very
insane when you think about it, because I don't think of his films as art house. I think of them as blockbuster.
Yeah, but he's managed to sort of, he can
like
sort of straddle that divide.
Yeah, he's like cerebral.
Cerebral, you're right though. It does. It makes like cerebral blockbusters in a sense because they're massive spectacles, but they do require a bit of thought.
Yeah,
they're not popcorn munching films.
Yeah, and they tend not to be. Obviously, I'm excluding the Batman ones here, but they tend not to be franchise films. It's all original. I say original. Obviously, Oppenheimer isn't an original. There was an Oppenheimer before the film. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of the movies, it's one-offs, if you like. We're not going to have an Oppenheimer 2, although I'm sure somebody has suggested it.
Oh god! Do you know the thing is though? See what you were saying about them being like risk averse. Like I was looking through like films that come out sort of the tail end of last year or sort of beginning of this year as well, and I honestly think we're going to get to a stage where, see, like a best original screenplay, that's going to be so up for debate because there's all these prequels, sequels, franchises, spin-offs, musical versions, cartoon versions, or animated versions. It's insane. And actually, in a way, I suppose when you're looking at things like, I mean, Oppenheimer obviously is based on a person and a book, and so is things like The Zone of Interest and Poor Things. But actually to see like original sort of property or ideas, whatever you want to call it. How much of that's going to feature in future?
But that's the problem, isn't it? Because even going back as far as Inception, like 2010 when that came out, that was quite a big deal because it was an original screenplay. It was a blockbuster studio film, was given a big budget and made a fortune, and people kind of thought, excellent, that's going to open the door for more. And Hollywood went, of course not, don't be stupid. Here's some more Marvel films.
And there's the whole thing about what is an adapted screenplay and what is an original screenplay.
Yeah.
In the BAFTAs, Barbie and Maestro are regarded as original screenplays. They're not adapted screenplays. But in
Because
the
I thought Barbie was adapted. Yeah.
No, but in the Oscars, Barbie is adapted screenplay and Maestro is original screenplay. Now, obviously, Barbie, they're saying that Barbie is based on a plastic toy, but
Yeah,
Maestro is obviously
yeah.
based on the life of Leonard Bernstein. So,
Yeah.
really, it's not really original, is it?
Right, no, and I absolutely do understand the distinction, but at the same time, yeah, it does feel like more people. I'm going to just float this out here as an idea. More people are familiar with the concept of Barbie and her personality and her sort of attributes than they are with those of Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah, true. But I mean, is it down to the story level or is it down to the recognition of what it actually is? You know, because if you think about it, it's obviously it was an original screenplay, wasn't it? Because they started it from scratch. There isn't any previous Barbie stories like that. Maybe they feature characters, but then again, so does the Bernstein story. You know, that features characters that have already been established. It's a weird one, and it's just an example of how like different organisations do things in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even think of an example off my head now, but like a couple of times I've seen adapted screenplay in the past and thought, no, so original screenplay and thought, it's
yeah.
You know, I'm trying to think of an example.
Is Oppenheimer original or adapted? It must be adapted because it's based on a book. It's
adapted, yeah, because it's stated it was based on a book, so yeah. And it didn't win.
As opposed to a person. Just a book. It's just a book.
Yep.
It's a shame we don't get like a post-credit scene in Oppenheimer.
What would they do? The big bomb?
Aye.
See, that's Oppenheimer too. When they actually show the other two bombings, the real ones, just to test. Yeah.
This time with the sound.
Oppenheimer 2, the destroyer of worlds is back, and he's pissed off.
Right, so let's go on to the BAFTAs then. We shall have a wee chat about them. Now, the BAFTAs is the British Academy of Film and Television Awards, but they have the same sort of categories as other ceremonies. They actually had to introduce a British film category because a couple of years ago there was such an outcry that they were just exactly like the Oscars because they weren't actually promoting British film in any way. So they've had to actually put this category in. Now, there is an argument for saying, well, why are not all categories done in that way? Why is it an outstanding British film? Surely it should just be British film and international film, if you like. What do you think about that?
Well, we had a kind of conversation about this in the group chat the other week when I was talking about whiteness in films. And I think the argument for that was essentially you think of like most films are just like best action film, best drama, best musical, best comedy, whatever. They have like best Asian film, best foreign film, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that's not what they're again? I think they're creating a category to get more films in. It feels like I don't think it's needed.
I thought it was more to do with I'm saying grassroots. I can't think of a film that's won the best British film recently. It's been like a small indie or something like that. But I thought it was more to acknowledge the fact that BAFTA does do like outreach work and obviously encourages young British filmmakers into the industry by giving them access to, roles or funding or whatever. So I kind of thought that's where that category was supposed to sort of start out. It obviously it doesn't necessarily represent that now.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the outstanding British film category, of which we'll talk about the winner in a moment. It's the likes of All of Us Strangers, How to Have Sex, Riley and Saltburn. Now Wonka's in there as well. Poor Things is in there, and Napoleon is in there.
I keep getting to that.
You know, and of course the winner was The Zone of Interest, which rather bizarre. Well, I don't know if it's bizarre or not, but it also won the film and not in an English language BAFTA as well. So
See, that's where it starts getting a bit tricky, doesn't it? Because
yes,
they had that with the Oscars, we get Best Animated Film, and animated films started getting nominated for Best Film.
Yeah.
So, what trumps what here?
Well, there's obviously in the film not in an English language category, there's also Anatomy of a Fall, which ostensibly is French, but various languages.
There's so
yes,
much
and there's a lot of English
in that.
Yeah. I think that was the reason, because Anatomy of a Fall, even though it's classed as a French film, is not the French entry into the Oscars. They chose
No, but that's
film.
because the director, I think, pissed a lot of people off when she won her award at Cannes and gave a scathing speech about the French government and the pension crisis and the state of French filmmaking. So they just went, nah, fuck you, you're not getting your Oscar entry. Not officially, obviously, but I think they were kind of punishing her for speaking her mind.
Yeah, and that's not backfired in the French Academy at all, hasn't it?
They're too busy dealing with Gerard Depardieu claims at the moment. They've got no other time on their hands.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about the BAFTAs? Do you think it is a decent awards ceremony, or do you? I mean, if you think about it, if you remember back maybe about a decade ago, the BAFTAs changed the date of their award because for some time it was coming after the Oscars, and therefore it was regarded as being a sort of an afterthought. So, in order to try and promote it a wee bit, yeah. So, what do you think of it in those sort of terms?
Do you know, it's a weird one, because last year everyone went mental at the BAFTAs because it gave huge awards, like some of the big biggies, as it were, to All Quiet on the Western Front, which really deviated from what the Golden Globes had done and obviously what the Oscars went on to do. Whereas this year it seems to be towing the line a bit more.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes with the BAFTAs you do get a wee surprise win, a wee indie left field that you're never going to get at the Oscars. And because it does feel smaller, I feel like there's maybe the hopes that some of the more sort of the result shocks will come in. Whether or not any of these award ceremonies should still be on a calendar of things. I mean, I don't know. I think dwindling audience numbers would suggest that nobody's as interested in awards anymore. I mean, I do still watch the BAFTAs, as I say, because I do sort of hold out for that sort of like left field win. It just happens to be a coincidence that two quite big war films have won the last 2 years to keep me happy.
Yeah. It's almost as if they're made for you, isn't it? Like I say, we're about halfway through the ceremony just now, and there's been a number of awards actually granted. Documentaries, 20 Days in Mariupol. The animation category is a good point in case for what you were saying earlier, Thomas. The winner was The Boy and the Heron by Hayao Miyazaki. Now, for some people, they're saying, yes, it's a very good film, but this may be his last film, so it's about time he actually receives an award, a big award for it. Now, I know he's been awarded in the past, but maybe not get the recognition that he's rightly deserved for decades worth of work. So it's kind of seen as being, there you go. There's your. It's rather than like they used to. Oh, was it Lifetime Achievement Award? Wasn't it?
Lifetime Achievement,
They used to give to people who they actually never actually gave one to. They may have been nominated several times, and they thought, "Oh, wait a minute, they're 85 and they're still alive. Let's give them something. Let's get them up on stage.
That reminds me. Who's getting the BAFTA fellowship this year? They usually announce that pre-ceremony, don't they?
I'm not sure actually. We'll have a dig through.
Just when you said they're 85 and they're still here,
still
that's
alive,
usually what tends to happen at the fellowship award.
I can't see it on the list at the moment, but
no,
it will be. No, but like you say, yeah, it's usually indicated beforehand. Yeah, there's nothing there. But anyway, right, going through various lists. I've done a documentary, Boy in the Heron. Best director, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. Now, that's a difficult one to argue against, I would
know.
say. It's a strong category, obviously, with the holdovers, His Own Interest, Anatomy of Fall, and Maestro, and All of Us Strangers. But in terms of a sort of a director's vision, you would be kind of hard pushed to look past Oppenheimer, whether you like the film or not. It was one of these films that, for a lot of people, was one of the best of the year. So I think that's a reasonably good call. Would you think? Yeah? No?
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to it's hard to argue against. I mean, whether it's a personal preference or not, but that's such a powerful story as well,
Yeah.
and very much of filmmaking. It's just storytelling, and for the most part, it's a courtroom drama,
Mhm.
and it's
Yep.
absolutely gripping. It's not an action-packed film. It's not. I mean, it jumps about nicely. It tells a story in a way that keeps you captivated.
Yeah.
And that's, you can tell, the subject matter in terms of it's quite grim and stuff like that. And it's a long film,
Mhm.
gripped. For the entire
Do you
time.
know what's
Is that-
interesting though? So is Anatomy of a Fall. It's essentially a courtroom drama, and it's 2.5 hours of talking, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
actually, the ending for that is way more ambiguous than obviously what the ending of Oppenheimer is. But it's interesting how you're saying like there's no question of him winning that award and all that sort of thing. But it's interesting that a film like that obviously has been talked over at this level, and then Anatomy of a Fall, which, from what you've described, is a very, very similar premise, and yet I don't think it'll even touch the sides of what Oppenheimer is going to achieve.
Mhm. What do you think Warner Brothers must be thinking right about now, after Chris Nolan obviously was with them for years and years? They supported his projects, and it came to it was a sort of two-pronged thing. One of them was when they decided to release basically all of their 2021 films online on HBO rather than putting them in the cinema without telling any of the filmmakers. And I think the other one was when he went to them and says, look, I've got this idea for a film. It's going to be about a guy that won the war for the Allies and then get fucked over by the American government, and I'm not going to use any CGI in it, so it's going to cost a shitload of money. Where do you want me to sign? So, and they obviously went no, and then he moved on.
Yeah.
And he's obviously getting the recognition he deserves, and a lot of it is based on his reputation as a filmmaker, which was obviously built up over a couple of decades with Warner. So they must be kind of going, what the actual fuck, you know?
Have they not just signed an exclusive deal with Tom Cruise, though? Did I not read that?
Yes, they have, yes. To produce...
So maybe they're trying to recoup whatever they fucked off with something else.
Well, bear in mind,
Yeah.
Warner Bros. Also owns DC, so there's probably a lot of things to try to recoup.
Yeah, and DC's not a shit show, let's face it. It's not getting any... Put it this way, in the last couple of months, it's not got any clearer as to what's going on there. I mean, that could be a whole podcast discussion on its own.
Mm-hmm.
The sort of where that's actually gone, and it is not any clearer than it was before James Gunn took over it, because there's so much speculation about stuff and nothing's been made. You just get drips of information about it, so it seems to be following the same sort of strategy as before.
But is Marvel and Disney doing any better at the moment? It kind of feels like they're holding their own touch paper and striking the matches with a lot of stuff at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Marvel are committed to an awful lot of stuff at the moment, so they're committed to a certain number of movies. They've announced movies and TV shows which are already in production, so they have to kind of follow through with those. But then you've obviously got external factors that, after Endgame, people got a wee bit fed up with just pretty much, there was a lot of similar stuff. They were introducing new characters and stories and stuff, but it wasn't as compelling. You couldn't see the through line. And then there's the whole Kang thing as well, which is just, it's just unbelievable.
Interestingly, and small spoiler can I do this for Best Supporting Actor?
You can, yes.
So Robert Downey Jr. obviously won Best Supporting Actor at the BAFTAs for Oppenheimer, and in his speech, he said that it was basically like, oh, I played a guy called Tony for 10 years, and then Chris Nolan gave me the chance to regain some credibility. That was his speech. So it kind of feels like he's done a sort of like, fuck you, MCU, and I'm not actually sure why.
Aye, well, I
Especially,
think it. On you go, Thomas.
No, I was going to say, I mean, especially the fact that the MCU kind of helped rebuild his reputation seems a bit harsh.
Yeah. I think you could probably take that too as one of just sort of light-hearted way, because let's face it, he did play that character for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sorry, John, you're allowed to say something now.
No, on you go. No, I was moving on to something else, so just fire away.
No, just regarding the Marvel thing as well, compared to DC, and it's like, at least DC has still got their own separate superhero projects. The Batman, Joker coming out, they still keep things separate. It was a DCU, there was a shit show. There's still a Peacemaker TV show as well, which is really good. The last Suicide Squad film was still very good. It's like they do have a lot of good stuff, things going on. Warner Bros. From a DC point of view. With James Gunn, they're looking to kind of reset things and do something again. And that's fine. The comics do it all the time as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a comic, it's a film. And the thing with Marvel as well is, though, they just keep doubling down on things that aren't working. And they're not listening to people that are saying, we don't like this. They're telling them not listening to the people that say, we don't like this, so we're not going to watch it. They just keep doubling down on the things that aren't working.
Equally, I'm saying Marvel is Disney, it's because it's all on Disney Plus. And equally, I think there's debate as to whether or not Andor is going to get a second season, or there's been delays or something like that. Now, given that was the best, most well-written, lovely fleshed out characters, etc., why delay that and give us more of other stuff that's just not working?
Because it's almost like they've created this homogenous formula for things where everybody to just go by that, and it makes it easier maybe for production, because there's a clip you can find on YouTube, and it's like a supercut of all these writers and directors of Marvel for the last couple of years, and they're saying the same thing. We didn't read the comics, we're told not to read the comics, we're told to bring our own spin to it. It's like, you have all this source material that people are familiar with. Why you want to do your own thing? Like, For Love and Thunder, Ragnarok comes out, people really liked it. Taika Waititi is in an interview saying things like, maybe I'll read a Thor comic one day and understand the character. He was going out of his way almost to not bring it was like, even say things like, he didn't think the romance was important or something. There's a lot of things he was saying that fans are going, do you understand this character? Because you're making the fourth entry of a film here, part of a franchise.
I don't think they do. I mean, I was even reading the other day that Sydney Sweeney said that she wanted her character to arrive a specific way in certain scenes within Madame Web, and her thing was she actually went to the director and the costume department and special effects and went, because this is how she does it in the comic books and the graphic novels. This was all brand new information to everyone working on that film. How is that brand new information? Why haven't you read the source material? That would be like Nolan trying to make Oppenheimer without doing any fucking research as to who was there. But I mean, obviously the general story is there, but it's all the fine details that, fans particularly of these types of films, I think they're looking for.
Exactly.
They want the nuancy bits.
Take something like Iron Man, for example. Iron Man, by all intents and purposes, was fairly low-key for when it came out. The character, it was known as Marvel character. It wasn't necessarily a household name. Marvel didn't have the rights to guys like Spider-Man. They couldn't in X-Men. They had to go out of the locker and say, shit, who can we make films about here? And they made guys like Iron Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy, for lack of a better term, like B, C, and even fringe characters, and made them household names. Obviously, Captain America was pretty well known. The Hulk, did they even do much for him? It was like they did it because we're making good films. They were tying back to the comics. So Civil War is based in the comic. They've done a lot of wee things here and there, going, well, that character will become that character. They set things up. Now what they're saying is, okay, so you missed Iron Man and all that in Captain America. We're going to just recast them. But it's different characters as well. It's characters you know already, and they're going to play the new Captain America, the new Iron Man, the new Hawkeye, or the new Miss Marvel, for example. Or even I quite like her. All the characters from their new schedule coming up are all the sidekicks or the proteges of characters who are very successful. And I just find that very strange. Like Ironheart is essentially Iron Man. You could come and say, yeah, well, that will happen in the comics, but it's not the same medium.
Yeah, and I feel like because, especially, I mean, it's maybe different with other characters, but I feel like because, you know, Robert Downey Jr. was Iron Man for what, 10 years?
Yeah.
Like that's so well, like that whole premise of him being that character is so well known now that I think that, I don't know, unless they're trying to just like almost like forget all that other stuff happened, I don't know. It's
No, but here's what they've done now, right? It's like, I don't know if you've seen the Marvels.
No.
It's terrible. It's awful. Spoiler alert. At the end of it, they basically try and recreate the Sam Jackson and Iron Man and put together a team type thing. Then you realise that team, it's Miss Marvel. Bear in mind, Captain Marvel already exists. It's a Hawkeye sidekick. Bear in mind, Hawkeye already exists. It's Ironheart, who the scientist builds a suit. Right? New Captain America film's coming out, but it's the Falcon playing Captain America. They're just like they're just going to take these characters. They're not recasting the characters. They're just bringing you watered down versions of characters you liked. Let's put Natalie Portman as Thor. It's like no, let's keep those characters.
All I'm hearing is I'm not getting my Mahershala Ali Blade.
There's rumours, and again, this is an example where Disney just do not listen to people if this is true, and I believe that is true as well. It's going to involve Blade and his daughter.
Who wants this?
Exactly. It's
not exactly, and to bring it back to what we're talking about, it's not like it's Oscar bait anyway, so why are you trying to shoehorn in all this other stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, but also Marvel had a great opportunity for getting characters like Ghost Rider back, characters like Blade, to create this darker spin-off horror feed.
Yeah, but they've probably looked at the Universal dark universe and thought, fuck, we better not try that.
Well, they didn't even need to go that far. They looked at Scott Derrickson's Doctor Strange 2 and went, no, it's not Marvel enough for us. So you're out. Bring in Sam Raimi, one of the most iconic horror directors ever, in some homogenized Marvel film. I
have seen it, but I've kind of forgotten.
With the wisecracking young female sidekick, which they just have in every Disney film. It's Lucasfilm, Disney, the Marvels. It follows the same formula. I know most films do, but they've got this really homogenized formula. You think, I'm watching Indiana Jones. It could have been The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just beat by beat by beat is all very similar. And audiences are going, we don't like that, and they're going, well, tough. Because that's what we want to make.
Which is weird because they're saying like, oh, we've brought in, Phoebe Waller-Bridges to, a BAFTA darling herself to, write the script for Indiana Jones, or we're bringing in, as you said, like Sam Raimi or whatever to direct, and yet you don't get the flavour of any of that because it's so edited or watered down or whatever it is. Like you don't get a script that feels like it was written by Phoebe Waller-Bridges or whatever it is.
I think you do.
It's bizarre.
I think you actually do in the case of Indiana Jones, but it doesn't work because she has a style that works for certain things. It does not lend itself to an Indiana Jones film, in my opinion. I really like her. I think she's very good. I think Fleabag is absolutely outstanding. You can tell the things she's written in this, and it's jarring because this isn't like an Indiana Jones film. This feels like her film.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
This feels like her movie, and I'm not saying it's her fault. It's the way they've kind of framed it, and you're thinking to yourself, why do you keep doing this?
Are you telling me that Mads Mikkelsen is making like wisecracks to camera and like winking as he's doing bad Nazi stuff?
I would have preferred that.
I was going to say, because that's an Indiana Jones I would go and see.
I would have preferred that. But no, I mean, but then you get even Doctor Strange, and you get these wee hints of horror in it. But Marvel just kept going, nah, we'll just pull back a wee bit, focus on the humour, focus on the comedy. I'm like, it's not working. Like, there's some really scary, there's some really gruesome horror elements of Doctor Strange. I thought,
Yep.
see if you lean into that a bit more. Doesn't it been R-rated? Doesn't it be really graphic? But lean into that a bit more. You might actually make a good film rather than another entry of your content schedule.
But it's funny because the more we talk about this, the more it does make you understand why the likes of Oppenheimer and Barbie, even though Barbie is an IP or whatever you want to call it, no wonder people absolutely crave stuff like this, because it is original and it is different, and Barbie probably will be part of a franchise because they're already building a Mattel universe as we speak, but people are craving stuff like this much more than the people who would call themselves Marvel fans or DC fans or whatever it is, because at least it's something different.
Exactly. I don't get me wrong. You know I'm going to go see Madam Web. You know I'm going to go and see it. I'll go and see any Marvel film that comes out in the cinema.
Know,
I'll go and see the Sonyverse as well. But the thing is, I am not going to watch all the shows on Disney Plus because I don't like them. What I've seen. I thought,
you're going to say, but I'm not going to enjoy them. So it's like, why the fuck are you going to sit in the cinema in a mood when you know that you're not going to like this? Just
you don't know them very well, do you?
I mean, like, for example, I watched WandaVision. I thought it was great up until the end, and it just became tacked on space, me in the sky type thing, CGI fight. I felt it was, I know that's what's kind of gone, but that was a really, really interesting idea they had. Really clever, really original. Then it went, but we need to Marvelize it. Falcon and Winter Soldier started off really good. It was cinematic as well, man. That's why people watch this in the cinema. And then as it went on, you're like, okay, you're kind of losing me here. And then at the end, I'm like, you're just trying to lecture me. Don't lecture me. I was enjoying this. This was fun. I'm quite happy to have politics in shows. I'm quite happy to make me think. Don't tell me how to think. Let me appreciate the message. I don't need to be told the message. Show me it. Don't tell me it. That's a big problem with film in general.
Yeah.
Is that bit in the trailer, Cindy, Joe's we've all seen, when you get you stole it from me and I stole it from you. And Phoebe Bridgers goes, and I stole it, that's capitalism. It's like, fuck off, man. This film's set in the 50s. You know what I mean? And then you've got the new Blue Beetle film where they're like, this guy's like Batman. And he goes, Batman's a fascist. It adds nothing to the film but piss people off. Why is Batman a fascist?
I feel like that has to be the title of this episode. Never mind like awards season or anything like that. Awards season recap scored out. Why is Batman a fascist?
So there's also rumours as well, as you can believe it, apparently they were going to have a spin-off Indiana Jones. Phoebe Bridgers was supposed to take over as a new Indiana Jones. And I'm like, she's great. She's very talented. Why are you trying to ruin her by doing something like this? It's not suited. Not everybody's suited to the same thing.
It's not even that. The stuff that's coming out, like, see, like the Mean Girls musical and stuff like that, and they were marketing it as this isn't your mom's Mean Girls and stuff like that, which one I take great offence at because I definitely was old enough to see Mean Girls the first time around, so the fact they're referring to my generation as mums is really upsetting. But even that is like, it's literally just Mean Girls, but a musical. It's not even like a spin-off or the next generation or anything like that. It's literally just the same film. And that, like, to bring back to what I said like earlier, like, it makes the whole original screenplay thing feel less and less certain as a category moving forward, just because there's so much stuff. And I use the word stuff purposely because all these studios start referring to things as content, but there's so much stuff out there, and so very little of it appeals to me. And even like, looking ahead to see what's coming out this year and what do I want to invest my time in going to see and all that sort of thing, there's so very little that actually makes me go, I definitely want to go and see that, which is really disappointing.
I know it's a shame because, people tell me we've always had films like that. We've always had popcorn munching things. That's fine.
Which, by the way, I don't object to. I don't just to be clear, I've got no issues with that. Yeah.
They're very entertaining. They were just getting bland films to fill a slate.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel. Take the Marvel, we'll go back to the Marvels and Disney and that kind of thing. Because, let's be honest, I'm not punching down here. Disney happened to be quite a decent sized company. But the Marvels was, again, look at MCU in general. Very well told story. after the Endgame, you're thinking, how are they going to do this? They bring out Black Widow, which should have been out years prior. There's also a prequel, and you're thinking, this is a very good film, but I'm sort of confused in terms of my emotional involvement because this character definitely fucking died. But hey, it was a good film. It was fun. Don't overthink it. Just watch it as a standalone film. It's just difficult when Marvel give you homework for films. Shang-Chi was great. That's a really good film. And you think to yourself, maybe they've gone somewhere with this. Eternals I didn't think Eternals was that bad. It's very flawed. I didn't think it was as bad as people made out to be. And then it was like they've been back to like Thor and things like that, and you're like, right, what are you doing? And then they bring this content out in Disney Plus, and it's just like the Marvels was a sequel to like 5 different things.
Right.
WandaVision,
Seen, just to be clear.
WandaVision, Secret Invasion, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Endgame. And you watch it thinking, okay, dang, I've seen all them. Oh no, because they've not really mentioned anything. So in a way that's quite good. But also for people that did watch it, they went, this makes no sense. Because the tones are starting to jar. I will say we watched Secret Invasion and Nick Fury was portrayed this
Secret
way.
Invasion? Sorry, what the fuck is that?
Did you watch it, John?
I watched a couple of episodes. I didn't watch very much because I got a bit bored with it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I was really looking forward to it. It's about, well, basically a secret invasion of Earth, like they're taking over Earth, and obviously Sam Jackson is involved in trying to sort of sort it out. The premise of it was pretty good. I think the comic book was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've read the comic book, but yeah.
The shapeshifters, so you never really know who's who, and that's supposed to thing. But as John said, I never watched it with I just gave up on all the content. But apparently, Samuel Jackson in this, like Fury, is this like broken and bitter, kind of like battle worn, done with everything type guy. And the Marvels, he's wisecracking, he's funny. It's just like people that watched the Secret Invasion went, "Is this a follow-on?" Because it's the same fucking character.
Jesus Christ.
Brie Larson looks like she could not be asked in the film.
What? And I thought you were going to say in the press tour, not in the fucking film.
No, there was no press tour because it was during the actors and writers strike.
And that's the thing. So the Disney turned around and said, "Yeah, the film didn't do well because there was no press tour." And it's a fucking MCU film. It was also a sequel to 5 different things. And you think your lack of marketing for it was why people didn't see it?
It's yeah. I mean, as I say, I'm totally marveled out in that sense, and I am really craving stuff that's different. And as you say, that I haven't had to do homework to actually watch and enjoy, or just to even take anything from. And that's why, like, things like, you know, even the Holdovers, like I was absolutely desperate to see that because it just seemed like the perfect type of film for me. And even stuff that's coming out in, like, obviously, like your Maestro and your Saltburn are obviously Netflix films, not cinema films. No issues with that either. But I'm just looking for something that's not attached to 15 other.
Saltburn wasn't a cinema film.
Aye, so sorry, I know Maestro was as well, but what I mean is, like, they've maybe only done like 10 days or whatever in the cinema, and then they're on this. There people are watching it on Netflix more than they're making the trip to cinema for. Is what I mean. Yeah. I mean,
okay, a film like Oppenheimer, for example, I'll go back to that. That's a cinema film. As much as we said not a lot really happens action-wise and things like that, it's a courtroom drama, blah, blah. But there's some scenes you watch in that film, you go, I'm glad I've seen this in the cinema.
Yeah.
And you don't regret me being, I wish I saw it in the IMAX, I wish I saw it in this. It's incredible.
Your cinemas and your awards, so look at, you know, award season and the films that are listed for this again and again. Now, obviously, I said that Saltburn and Maestro and people are watching them on Netflix more than cinema. But if you look at the award season, it is the films that have filled the cinemas this year. So your Barbies, your Oppenheimers, that sort of thing, because this is what cinemas are relying on. And I actually think that cinemas now, less and less, are relying on, you know, Indiana Jones didn't do well. Bizarrely, for all the money that it took, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning did not take as much as they expected. And obviously your Marvel films are, I mean, who knows what the fuck's happening with them. And your Madam Web is open to disaster and all this sort of thing. So your big original pieces, if we're talking about saving cinema, you know, post-COVID and all the rest of it, it's your big originals that are doing that, not your spin-offs and franchises, which is an interesting sort of turn of events. I'm not saying that, you know, next week's Cineworld are only going to be showing like Hungarian indie films from, you know, whatever. They're absolutely not going to do that, but it's just interesting that these are the types of films that are actually, that's what's bringing the money in.
But that's the thing, though, but also they're not learning because that would require effort. The lazy studios, they've all bring out sequels, they've all bring out spin-offs. They want shared universes, and it's just because it's easier for them to make these films.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's why, as I say, that although that Barbie obviously is doing well already, there's talk of a Mattel universe.
What the hell?
Like, let's not do that.
We already had Battleship, the film. Remember that?
Yes.
Yep.
Rihanna was in that. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's that kind of thing. It's like there's been talks of a Monopoly film for a while as well. So the board game universe still to come.
How the fuck do you make a Monopoly film?
I don't know. Ridley Scott was attached.
That's
my
right.
God.
Yeah.
Get Ken Loach to do it, and it can be a real study on capitalism, rich people chucking people out of their houses. That's what the Monopoly film should be.
I mean, it's, when Barbie was a phenomenon of cinema, critically acclaimed, massive. Barbie's a perfect film for a studio because it makes a fortune. We said before, the studio were having a cake and eating it because they're saying, "Oh no, but look, there's all these spinners and messages in it, and it's appealing to this and that and blah blah." But at the same time, we are cashing in like, "Fuck, it's an IP." It's a very interesting movie in that sense. But then they're like, "Yeah, we're going to bring out a Polly Pocket fucking at the end of the credits." You know what I mean? Like, see about fucking Infinity Gauntlet or something. I don't know. Like, you don't need to have a shared universe for everything. But obviously, that's what it's easier to do because at the end of the day, as much as we like films, we'd like to see even some more Hungarian films in Cineworld. The public get what they fucking deserve sometimes.
Yeah, always.
Oh, I love that. As a for once, it's not. But yeah, if you have that as the tagline for opening the show, the public get what they fucking deserve.
You could say that about the Moviescramble podcast as well, couldn't you?
That's true. There's that period of like every week in the cinema there was a film and the marketing was a white background and big red lettering, and right off the bat you went,
or floating heads posters.
Yes, and you knew
like
off
your
the bat,
your Black Adam one behind you is a floating head poster. Yeah. I
mean, that's an interesting case study in itself. We did podcasting alone on that film and The Rock's ego.
I don't think we've got the lawyer funds between us to try and take on The Rock and his ego in a podcast.
But then you talk about the IP type thing in that as well. They're going back to old horror films now. And we're bringing a new Halloween trilogy. We're bringing a new Exorcist trilogy. And my first thought is, do these films
There's a new Exorcist trilogy?
Yeah, that Exorcist film last year, Believer. That's part 1 of 3.
Allegedly. It may not go to 3.
And you have 2 Frankenstein films coming out because Maggie Gyllenhaal's doing one, don't know who's doing the other. And then obviously we're going even further back and there's obviously the Nosferatu. But I am actually looking forward to the Nosferatu remake just to see what he does with it. But...
Yeah, sometimes it'll work, but my thing is when it came to the Halloween didn't even bother too much until I thought about it after. But with The Exorcist, it's like, rather than just make a new film, it's like, no, we've got a new trilogy planned. Is that like kind of film that lends itself to a trilogy, though? And then you're watching this film and going, the stakes for me are different because I know there's going to be another 2 that might not get made, as John was kind of alluding to there. Because let's be honest, I don't know if you've seen The Exorcist Believer, it wasn't very good.
No, I didn't even know it was a thing, to be quite honest with you. So no.
It's a funny thing, is The Exorcist?
There's a new Omen film as well.
Sequels. A new Omen film coming out, that's right.
For fuck's sake! Really? Who's playing the creepy kid?
Oh, it's a prequel, I think.
Yeah, it's a prequel.
Unreal. Yeah, it's just.
But the thing is, the first Omen film had 3 sequels. There was 4 of them in the remake. The Exorcist had 2 sequels, but they weren't planned sequels. And sometimes that can hurt the first film Because you watch the first Exorcist
Aye,
film,
if you're going into it, going,
Yeah.
I'm making 3 films, not 1. Yeah.
it doesn't lend itself to any more sequels. It's just Exorcist a standalone film, and then somebody said, let's make The Heretic. Then somebody went, fuck, I'll make a third one. Then it just stopped. Because these are the films, that was a franchise movie, you know. Whereas this, they're going, okay, let's make it a franchise now. And it's like, let's just concentrate a film at a time here. See if that's good. Then build on it. Which I think it felt like went and did with Halloween. Because the first Halloween, which David Gordon Green was very good. And I liked Halloween Kills. Fuck knows what the last one was meant to be.
Yeah, it wasn't very good,
It
unfortunately.
wasn't, but bizarrely, for a film that was a planned trilogy, didn't feel like one.
No. It kind of felt kind of sort of bolted together. The last one, it didn't really do a lot. To be honest, I expected a total gore fest for the last one. I thought it'd just be like, wall-to-wall killings and all that. Which
I just expected
didn't
Michael
happen.
Myers to be honest with you. A bit more.
Yeah,
Have you seen
and that
it?
would have been.
You would have seen it, maybe not.
No.
It's
The only new Halloween film I saw was the one that came out. Oh, fuck, I don't even know what it was called. But Julie Curtis was in it.
yeah,
It's the only new one I've seen.
it's probably just Halloween.
It was shite. Sorry.
No, don't
Like it.
need to apologise to us. We didn't make it.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I know that, like, obviously, topics in particular, this is precious to you. It just didn't do anything for me as a film. Like, it was just shit.
Didn't have the message she was looking for. Didn't say anything.
No, it didn't.
Wasn't
I didn't
Hungarian
see
enough.
I didn't see Michael Myers look repentant once. So I was really upset that he seemed to be reveling in.
Okay, you laugh at that, right? But that was actually some of the criticism for Halloween Kills.
No, that's not real. That's not real criticism.
He
It's just
killed a
not.
gay couple. He killed a gay couple, and there was complaints.
That he wasn't sorry that he'd killed them,
The
or
fact
that he'd killed a gay couple.
the latter.
Right. Is
And
that
then
the Guardian's 1-star review?
To be fair, I think it was one of the things that one person tweeted it that became a story. But
All right.
no, I mean the last one is fucking. I'm gonna have to go off tangent here, but a point being, it's like sometimes just on its own. Don't look towards the first film. Look at the evil films, like the MCU, for example. When Iron Man came out, they weren't like, right, how's he going to fight Thanos in 10 years' time? They just made a good film.
Oh no, see, I kind of feel like I thought they alluded to the fact that they had a 10-year plan. I actually thought it was the opposite.
No, because they did at the end of it, they kind of hinted they're making an Avengers film. But all it took was one bad film for that to get jettisoned. I mean, one bad box office. Like, if 4 came out and it just tanked, might be, actually.
Yeah, no fair. I hope Chris Nolan is listening to this podcast, so when he does sit down and write Oppenheimer 2, that he doesn't make the mistakes that we're pointing out here.
Well, that's the thing. I've been trying to make a joke for the last half hour about who would be in the end credit sequence for Oppenheimer, but I kind of think a scientist from that era that would pop up.
I don't know any
Is that
scientists
TikTok
doing
I think of that time when it's all the guys at World War One, and it's like I'm going to shoot a guy. We call him the painter.
it. Yeah. In fairness, that's exactly what would you call it, doing? Oh fuck! Oh, Kingsman.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the last Kingsman, it was like, oh, basically trying to insinuate he's just this misunderstood guy. So yes, the Kingsman, the new film of that is a Hitler film. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
we know how that ends.
The Hitler verse.
Happy doobie.
That's true. Inglourious Bastards showed us that we can play around with
Yeah,
history and it will still
yeah.
work. That's true. As long as Daniel Bruhl's in it.
Okay, so having started talking about award ceremonies, veering off wildly in a tangent and then veering off wildly in another tangent and almost circling back to Iron Man, we've gone off again, so fair enough. Who really gives a damn? Our listeners probably asleep by now, aren't you, Bob?
Oh, Andy will be listening as well.
Oh, and Andy, yeah, sorry. We should really say listeners now. So the final awards have been given out in the BAFTAs, and basically Oppenheimer's the big winner of the night. They've won all the major, the big awards in that supporting actor, film, director, leading actor. Obviously didn't have a leading female actor, I think.
I'm kind kind of sad
Emily
for Paul
Blunt was up.
Giamatti.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, these things, it's unfortunately the way these things go. The Holdovers did win a couple of awards. It won the casting award, and it also won the supporting actress
Yeah, which
award,
I'm glad for.
which is a pretty decent shout. Interestingly, we have Poor Things getting a couple of technical awards. They got Best Visual Arts, I think it is. Let me see. Yeah, it got hair and makeup, and it got visual effects. Now, it was a stunning film to look at, so I'm not really surprised at that in any way.
Yeah.
And Emma Stone won as well in the actress category, which it's quite a strong category, that one. Obviously, there was her, there was Sandra Hüller, Carey Mulligan, Margot Robbie. So it was a decent category. Also, there was Vivian O'Para for Rye Lane. I don't know if you guys have seen Rye Lane, the sort of wee romantic comedy, a British film. It was a really excellent wee movie. It's only like about 85, 90 minutes long, but it was totally spot on. It gained quite a lot of attention when it came out, but again, it was very early last year, so it may have sort of dropped off the radar of a few people. But yeah, so no real surprises, and I think we'll see a similar thing with the Oscars in a couple of weeks' time as well. It's interesting that Maestro didn't win anything, Killers of the Flower Moon didn't win anything.
That's
That's
surprising.
kind of big.
Don't get me wrong, and you were going to talk about this film at some point. I didn't think it was that great, personally.
Mhm.
But it's the kind of film that's total award bait.
Oh yeah,
And it is really well made. It's crafted really well. I just didn't find it that enjoyable before I watched it. I thought the first hour and a half flew in, and then it just dragged for me. Some great performances, some overrated performances. I think DiCaprio was that good, to be fair. But I'm surprised that didn't get more love.
yeah. Even in some of the more sort of technical categories, as they call it, but now there's a whole different BAFTA ceremony for craft awards, isn't there? Because these are just sort of the sort of headline awards, so it could well be that some of them pick up awards in these ones as well. But yeah, so no real surprises and no real controversies either, I would say.
Where was Lily Gladstone? Was she?
She wasn't nominated.
She wasn't even nominated.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. As much as I can like mention things about Oscar bait and stuff like that, she was brilliant in that film. I didn't think the film was that great. I thought she was great in it.
Yeah.
But Jesse Plemons was really good in it as well. But yeah, I'm surprised because she seems like a shoe-in for
Oscar, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a hot favourite for the Oscar.
One thing I will say is that the E Rising Star Award, which is voted for by the public, was won by Mia McKenna Bruce. And if you have Mubi, How to Have Sex is on that, and she is the star of that, and it is absolutely brilliant. Like, I went into it not really knowing what to expect from it, and it felt kind of sort of improvised in places and sort of slightly cringy in others, but it's kind of meant to be. But I absolutely loved that film, and I thought it was a really, like, if that's her debut, I mean, extremely impressive. It poses a lot more questions around the whole kind of, you know, consent situation, all that sort of thing, and I thought she was excellent in it. And I totally thought that the woman from the Veer, the Io Tamiri, was going to win the Rising Star Award. So actually the fact that she's won it, given that she's obviously smaller profile, definitely I can't imagine many people have actually seen that film. I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a good show. Yeah, it was a very, very good performance. So yeah, interesting. So there we have it. The wee coverage of the BAFTAs and stuff like that. Now, it's still reasonably early in the year, and this is the first podcast that we've done this year. First of many, because we're going to get back on a regular schedule. So thought we'd spend a few minutes talking about what we are individually looking forward to over the next 10 months or so, towards between now and the end of the year. Just a quick sort of run through of what people are actually looking to. So start with you, Thomas. What's your sort of interesting highlights for the year?
To be honest, I've never really looked to see what's coming out. To be honest with you, for me, when it comes to, as much as I've been kind of like badmouth and Marvel and stuff like that, it's still the films I look forward to. I look forward to blockbusters. I look forward to a film. I think to myself, I want to see this in the cinema. No, I can wait till it comes on streaming because it won't make much difference if I sit and watch it lying on the couch compared to watching it in cinema. I can't really think of a lot that's coming out that I'm really excited for. I just can't take it week by week. I'll check the cinema listings and go, what's out? You know, it's not a great answer, but I just really can't think of anything off the top of my head, and I'm like, I'm really looking forward to seeing that this year.
All right, cool, no problem. Mary,
There
have
is
you got a
some
spread?
good
You've got a
stuff.
spreadsheet, haven't
Yeah,
you?
I've got a spreadsheet, yeah. you know fine well. There's some good stuff. I just thought I'd stick to sort of the kind of biggies. So the Nosferatu remake, I am desperate for. It's one of my favourite films of all time ever, and I'm desperate to see what he does with this. Inside Out 2. Again, I know it's a sequel and I'm horrible, but I did actually really love the first one, and they're introducing anxiety as a character, which, again, it's like they're making films just for me. And again, the other three that I'm thinking of, and this is horrible, they're all spin-offs and the sequels and stuff like that I'm saying, but I saw the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer from the Super Bowl, and that did make me laugh a little bit, so there's that. There's Furiosa, the Mad Max spin-off, which I think looks quite good. And then also, when I was looking this morning, they're making a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which, because I love those films so much, has kind of sort of drawn me into that. But I'm going to make a point this year of trying to go and see more stuff like The Holdovers, like your Occupied City, all that sort of thing, because actually that is as much as I've listed literally, 5 or 6 films that are, content that already exists, I'm going to try and make a point this year of going to see more sort of indie, smaller films, because I feel like that's what I need in my life as much as the big blockbusters.
I suppose just like thinking as you said that, Mary, but Joker 2 coming out is like with sequels. I'm very intrigued for that. I love the first one. I'm very curious to how to do this one. Alex Garland's got a new film out as well, talking about smaller films. Civil War, but sometimes going to say you mentioned Deadpool 3. But yeah, I kind of have to really kind of think about that because I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3. I saw a trailer last week. It looks fun, but it seems so far away as well. A lot of the films I'm looking forward to are still quite a good bit in the future.
That'll be your summer. That'll be your summer blockbusters, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. For myself, Dune Part 2, which is out in a couple of weeks.
Oh my God, how can we miss that? It's literally out in 2 weeks' time. Are you going to get the butthole cinema, the popcorn bucket that looks like a butthole?
I didn't even know that was a thing, but yeah, that should be quite interesting.
I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you pictures just
You're going
to
to
be clear of the popcorn bucket.
I'm also looking forward to Monkey Man, the Dev Patel film. He's starring in it and directing it. It's coming out, I think, at the end of March. It's about a guy who unleashes a sort of campaign of violence against folk who murdered his mother. It looks excellent. It looks like a really, really good sort of action movie, and I'm interested to see what he's going to do in terms of direction, so should be quite good, hopefully. Also looking forward to Ballerina, the spin-off of
I forgot that was this year.
The John Wick franchise as well, which is quite good. I'm looking for something I don't know if it'll actually be good or not, is Red One, the Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans film, which has been delayed. It was meant to come out 2023 originally, and it's been pushed back, and it seems to have been fraught with difficulties, but it could be quite interesting. There's a new Paddington film obviously as well, Paddington in Peru, which comes out in November. New Smile film as well, Smile 2. I thought Smile was a pretty decent horror film, so yeah, it wasn't.
Sorry to interrupt, John, because clearly I'm looking at films that are coming out this year now. Because I just didn't really think there's a Nicolas Cage one coming out. I can't remember the name of it.
There's probably about 4 or 5 Nicolas Cage films coming out.
There's probably quite a few.
You have to be more specific.
It's like a serial killer horror film. It's really intriguing.
Long Legs. Yes. That looks amazing. So it's Oz Perkins that's directed it, and I absolutely loved that February or Blackcoat's Daughter, whatever you're calling it, depending on where you live in the world. I thought that was excellent. And yeah, actually, they've released posters for that Long Legs. That's also on my watch list for this year. It looks really, really good.
Nice. Last one for me is the new Godzilla film, because I've seen them all, and you know,
You're committed.
monsters fighting monsters. You know, you can't really go wrong. So I'm quite happy to watch another one. So that should be fairly decent.
Also, the Quiet Place prequel, which I'm a bit kind of,
of course, yeah, day one.
not sure about personally, because I love the other two, but the prequel things kind of threw me a wee bit with it. But yeah, I love the other two, so I'll definitely go and see that. Yeah, King, forgot about King Kong as well. Actually, I really loved -1. That was great.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard
brilliant.
obviously
So
great
good.
things from.
In this one, you know what I mean? It was like, it annoyed me because the last one was out during the pandemic and I couldn't go and see it in the cinema. And that's the film you want to go and see in the cinema.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, these are big screen experiences, these type of films. So, you know.
Back to your saying about Furiosa. That's a film I'm just not that excited about. And I think a lot
I've
of part
seen
of it
some
because
stills, and I thought it looked. I mean, it's
I've seen
kind
the
of piqued
trailer
my
for it.
interest.
No, I think for me it's because it's almost 10 years since Mad Max Fury Road came out. And
It is not.
2015.
2015, yeah.
Fuck.
So it's been
Sorry, just time is just as a concept. It's just not applying anymore, is it?
almost 10 years since the last one, and they've changed the actress, and it's kind of like it just feels like I'm hoping it's good. I'll go and see it. It just feels very Black Widow to me in the sense of like, yeah, you missed the boat with this a wee bit.
Ah, right, okay, no, fair enough. I just thought visually it looked quite exciting. I loved the Mad Max film, so I thought visually it looked quite exciting. But it's there's quite a lot out this year. I think in terms of obviously the kind of, as we've just listed, some of the sort of the bigger franchises and stuff like that. I didn't realise it'd been 10 years since Mad Max, so in my head that was like 5 minutes ago. So
cool. So at least we have a few things to look forward to this year, which is always very nice. It could have been a lot worse, let's face it. There's an awful lot of sequels and franchise movies, like you said, Thomas, but that's what kind of makes for a cinema experience a lot of the time, you know, going to see these films actually on a big screen with another 3 people at the Forge in Parkhead. So it's all good, you know. So that's the show. Thank you very much for listening in to us. If you want to get in touch with us, we are available at the usual outlets at Facebook. Sorry, didn't mean to say that.
We are Facebook.
Yeah, we are Facebook. You know, we are Moviescramble. You just search for Moviescramble on all of your social media channels of choice, and you'll be able to find us. Drop us a message. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Let us know what you think of the website as well. If you've got any ideas that you'd think that would be a good fit for us, please
keep them to yourself.
Yeah. Don't need backseat drivers.
This is not a democracy.
So, yes, please get in touch with us and let us know what you think. If you'd like to rate and review us on your podcast app of choice as well, it helps get our message out there as well, which is always a nice thing. And it's nice to hear nice things, let's face it. And like Thomas says, if you've got bad things to say about us, then just get in touch with Thomas directly. You don't need to speak to either myself and Mary, because we're like small wilting flowers. We can't take that sort of criticism. So
I've got a kink, so
yeah. So from myself, cheerio, and we will see you really, really soon. Bye.
Bye.